Right. I just think, I just think of these interest rates. It seems to me that the interest rates uh, just without any great wisdom on this need to be lower because if you look at the I guess the inventory of what's going on in the housing area right now, I think that you got to get ahead of that because that's usually about a 3 to 6 month time frame before they they make it to the economy. You know.
Yeah, I would. I think it's going to be a touchy thing when we talk about the whole context of what's going on with interest rates, like down the line. Right now, you got to lower interest rates because the economy needs it. Inflation is still going to be an issue, right? But that's going to be a problem that we get to deal with after we cut rates. So I think when we go like tomorrow, we're going to be talking about PPI and CPI. Well, tomorrow specifically the PPI and the inflation numbers. Like Tom, you've been making great calls in gold. We look at GLD, we look at gold futures. Gold futures are up about 4.5% since the August high. They're 4.5% above the August high. Like we
Well,
know,
my original
yeah,
call about a year ago, Chuck, was gold make it to 3,500. Once we got
yeah,
to 3,509, we got out. So let's watch it. We watched that sucker for 3 months, and then about a month ago, I told people it's time to start putting your toe back in there, and that's about 3,400. And now we're at 3,700. Looks like the next stop's 3,750, and we're
yeah.
3,683. Last night, the thing hit 98, pulled back, and now this morning it was just going crazy earlier. Let's see how high it got. It got to
Uh,
37.15.
Yeah,
37.15.
and that's kind of insane. And GLD is what they got to a high of 338.31. And last week, this time last week, we were talking about, hey, if they get above 322.50, they're probably
Get
going
long.
higher.
Yeah, do that one play and forget everything else, right? I mean, that was a heck of a play.
Right. But what that tells me, that move in gold tells me, yes, inflation really is a concern. Right. So why do you invest in gold? Well, you do it as a hedge against the dollar, right? So the market sees inflation being a concern, but also sees the economy being a concern. We're going to get an interest rate cut. We may get more than one or two, may get a few before the end of the year if the economy needs it. But the inflation angle is still going to be there. The gold market, the silver market, I know you love that one, is still going to be there. So yeah, I think there are a couple different angles we can go on this. We are nearing. It is 10 o'clock. It's about time to start training trade. So let's go
All
ahead and
right,
hear from.
Chuck, what we're going to
Yeah.
do, Jonathan suggested this just for today only. He wanted to do a trade in the connected dots,
Okay.
and I think we can do that. Jonathan, let's do an iron condor. Expires this Friday. You want to
Okay.
do that before we go through the slides? How you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do that right at the top here. What's the ticker you're using?
TQQ.
TQQ is the ticker. Iron Condor is the strategy. That's a combination of selling a call spread and selling a put spread. What's your expiration time?
This Friday.
This Friday's expiration is September 12th. What you thinking about in terms of strikes?
Why don't you look? Tell me what a 91 and 90 and a half put and a 95 and a half call. What would that give us? Now we got 50
91.
cents at risk on this, so let's just see what that would give us.
Well, the 91.90 half put spread is going for 14 cents.
Okay,
When
that's
we add
14. How much you get on the call at 95 and a half?
That's about another 14 or 15 cents
So
because
28
March.
cents.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you get 28, you take in, you got 22 of risk. I like it. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to type that up for the T-Buzz program and get that sent out. This is T-Buzz All Stars, Connected Dots Trade of the Week.
Yep, that's our trade of the week there. And you get to use the same dollars twice using an iron condor. If you're outside the range, and we'll demonstrate that real quick, Jonathan. Bring up the money maker real quick and put the TQQ in there and put a price of 65.30 on the top side and 64.85 to the downside. See where the TQQ would be.
Okay, Tom. Trying to do a couple things at once here.
Well, we can wait for that. Just wait.
Let me just get this on the slide.
All right, so Tom, while we're waiting for that, the S&P futures, what, 64.98, 64.91. We're seeing a little bit of disparity between the Dow and the Nasdaq. Is that something that is kind of catching your eye, or is it just it is what it is?
No, the Nasdaq's weak, Chuck. If you look at the Magic, or not Magic 7, but look at the Big 7 right now.
Right.
You got Apple 236.55, which is down about $4 where it was trading a couple of days ago. Nvidia's 167 was at 170 yesterday. Some of these big stocks, Palantir went up to 160 almost this morning. Now it's at 157. The Nasdaq, those big stocks are weak, but the Nasdaq in general is average, and I think there's a rotation going on there. But it's as far as I'm concerned, it's all noise because it's sort of like when you hit October 1st, all this stuff goes to the wayside because that's the sweet spot for the year. But getting there sometimes gets a little ragged, and you got to be very careful during this period of time. So I would say that the market is trying to go higher. As you identified, the opening price for the month was what, 64.78?
64.78.75.
Yeah. So I want to show people we got natural support there from 78 to 85. And that's why I wanted to bring up the money maker before we got into it, to show people what the TQQ would do if the S&P went down to 64.85.
And those of you asking about the trade, you can see the projection, the slide that Jonathan had up. Well, we're going to roadmap right now, but it's TQQ. Actually, 3 Qs. TQQQ. And should be coming up pretty soon. I do think it's kind of interesting when you look at the Dow Industrial Average. I think they might have to kind of go back and look because they have been leaning into putting some of those big NASDAQ stocks in the Dow. And, the broader NASDAQ, yeah, it's not doing too bad. But the big ones, as you say, are the issue. And they're also located in the Dow. So it might be having a bigger, oversized impact in the Dow than what they're having in the NASDAQ. Maybe that's what you're seeing.
Jonathan, E-mini and the target would be 65.30. 64.85 would be support.
65.30. 64.85. There we go.
And didn't we do a 95.91?
Right, that's correct. Yep.
Folks, this is the logic of this trade. You got support at the market, 64.78 or actually 75 to 85. and you've got resistance up there at 65.30. So I'm just selling a condor, assuming that that resistance will hold and the support will hold, and you got very small risk and the potential for this baby staying in between those two numbers. Now, tell me the numbers I gave. 92, is it 91.5 to 95?
It's 91 is your short put and 95 is your short call.
All right, go on. Let's go and see how low the S&P would have to go to get the put. Put a 64, put a 64.75 in there. Not there yet. Put a 64, 64. That's major support down there. Okay. Now to the upside, the highest we've been is 65.41. Change that to 65.41. Does everybody see what I've done here with this trade? I'm using the tools, using what the market has said, and putting the odds in my favor of making it. Any questions about this? This is that money maker is appropriately named. It will make you money if you use it to set these kind of trades up. I opened your eyes, didn't it? Jonathan's going, man, I learned something too. Well, I follow this S&P. I'm more comfortable looking at S&P and then going to the other markets. But anyway, that's our trade. Let's go back to, that completes our connected dots. And now we're going to start training trade, right, Jonathan?
Right. That's right.
I guess we'll get the slides up there. Chuck, pretty good tool we created, isn't it?
It's one of the better ones, that's for sure.
In my opinion, I think the eventual outcome is going to be higher. Today looks like it's, in my estimation, today looks like it's sluggish at best. In fact, now what's this? Let's say from May to August. Hey, Chuck, what do you think of this? Every official trade I've issued since May through August, my accuracy rate is 90%.
I got to be honest with you, Tom. I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't get 100% again. I mean, come on, you know, you're leaving a little bit on the
look,
table
man, I'm
there.
playing above my pay grade right here. I usually at 4 out of 5.
Yeah, 80%
but, you know,
is
I
very
ask myself,
good.
I'm always reviewing myself, and you can learn from this too, folks. I'm always reviewing how to get better at this game. Now, if I've made it the whole year and we still, with all the trades that I did, if I made it to the end of the year and I'm at 90%, close the door. We're making a lot of money. Does everybody understand the power of being right this much? Lowers your risk.
I'd say, Tom, I would say that 80% is very good, 90% is excellent. Now we had a run there where you were at a little bit higher than 90%. And that's pretty much beyond excellence. So excellent, yeah, okay, you're doing excellent. That's okay. That's good for Tom Busby.
Anyway, I'm amazed at it, honestly, when he told me that. So that's pretty good. But that's what you're playing with. But you see what I do? I use the tools. Did y'all notice that I went to the tools to come up with that trade? September, 4 winners, 0 losers. There you go. All right, what else? I want to bring this up to everybody. This is a real popular among all our students. If you're new, $9.99 for a year. And Chuck, today, no, it's today's Tuesday. Tomorrow you'll do a review of what we said, right?
Yeah, we're going to be putting that review out tomorrow with the train and trade. coinciding there. So we'll get them out together. Make sure you join in.
Okay. Yeah, I like to have Chuck sit there as the evaluator of what we said Monday. Jonathan and I came up with the newsletter on Monday afternoon, see how we did through Wednesday. Get some feedback, how to make it better. All right, my retirement center educational telegram is you can join us in there. A flash meeting this Friday at 2, okay? A flash meeting this Friday at 2 before we do our weekly wrap up. So there you go. Now, if you join the retirement center, I train from the Tasty Trade platform because I'm doing futures, options, and stock in there, and I think it's easier to explain it when you can sit there and draw it out with their platform. It's a great educational platform. They did a good job there, I think. This is a class starting this, not next week, but week after next, Monday and Tuesday. By the way, if you sign up for that class, you get an automatic year added to your online experience. If you hear what I did last night in futures online, you got to be part of it. Just ask people that were there. I put together a futures package of 3 type trades you can do each week. Very comfortable inside the futures market. I call it a 3-pack. And if you come to a class in person, you get this for a year. We're focusing on interest rates and bonds right now. We change that focus every Monday. Gold and silver, gold 1 week, silver the previous week. Pretty well go to the markets that are going to pay the week we have the training. All right, here's the where we stand. This is going to be interesting to look at today. Jonathan, take it out.
Okay, I posted the slides in the chat just a moment ago, and this spreadsheet.
Neil, it was a 95 call. It was a 95 call, not a 94 call.
Yeah, 95, 95 and a half call spread up top. 91.
You got to read the tape correctly, Neil. 95 call, not a 94 call. All right, take it away, Jonathan.
Okay, I'm getting this updated right now as we speak. This is September 9th at 11:16 in the morning. September 9th, 11:16. And what we have here, let's just focus in on the S&P and the NASDAQ right now. The NASDAQ is currently at 23,780, which is above the high from the first 3 trade days of the month. That's a good sign. We really want to get the S&P to play along as well. If we can get both markets playing together, we'll be looking pretty good in the month of September. So that number on the S&P futures is 65.1675. 65.17 on the S&P futures. Now, before we, go any further, Tom, does anyone have any questions about this process? Is it maybe you're here for the first time, is it brand new to you? Don't understand the first 3 days? Maybe don't even know what FTD stands for. Sure, I'll post the slides again. Bruce says, are there any plans to build this spreadsheet in Roadmap? And Bruce, we actually already have it in the Roadmap. Let me show it to you. Here, I'll go over here to my Roadmap and launch it. The one for September, FTD stocks. Can take a moment to build in here. Right. This is the trade tracker, Bruce, under tables. We've had the trade tracker ever since Tom developed the first 3 days algo. And that's what FTD stands for, first 3 days, where we take the first 3 trade days of the month to mark a high and a low. Here are those numbers on the S&P again. You can see with the roadmap feature, we have it nice and color coded for you. The 6516 number on the S&P is red because the S&P is currently below that at 6502. Now, that doesn't mean the S&P is bearish. The S&P is still above its month open. It's just not quite strong enough yet to get above the high from the first 3 days. And what's the significance of that? We've taught you in these sessions before, and I'll just do a squiggly line diagram of it. We've taught you in these sessions before the very simple patterns of long, where you get a higher high, if you can see those red bars out to the right, where you get a higher high over the prior candle, or more specifically in this case, if you just are able to establish a high-low frame, we're looking for a higher high above that for long, or a lower low on the frame for short. So the significance of the S&P futures not being above the 3-day high yet is we're not seeing any good trend. If the S&P futures is not trending, what do you think is going to be happening with the majority of your stocks? 70-75% of the stocks tend to follow the direction of the S&P 500. If the S&P 500 is trending above the 3-day high, things are looking pretty good, pretty ripe for trading. But if the S&P 500 is stuck inside the range of the 3-day high, 3-day low, we're not seeing any big trend. And that alone contributed, I haven't talked directly to Tom yet, but contributed to him tossing up an iron condor trade on the TQQQ today, playing the middle. Now, yes, you will have some stocks that are outperforming, relative to the S&P. You're always going to have those stocks. And this spreadsheet is going to help us identify those, which will do 2 things. One, let's see, which screen did it share there? One, we might find some plays we want to take right away. And 2, we might find our leading stocks that once the S&P does start to play along, we're getting our odds even more and more in our favor. That's the goal of this spreadsheet. That's why we do the work. That's why Tom built that feature in the roadmap. We wish everybody had the roadmap, but we understand that not everybody's going to have it. And we want to just bring you extra value for being here on this free session that we hold every day. And that's what the spreadsheet was created for. That's what the spreadsheet was created for. So let's keep going through this sheet here, see what we got. We've got gold long above 36.40.
Boy, just stop there. Throw the spreadsheet out. All you had to do is know about that part of the spreadsheet. You would have made enough money this month to write home about. Where did it tell you to go long is the question you ought to be asking, and then look at the current price. The market told you to go long on gold at 36.40. And the current price, Jonathan, needs to be updated, right? Well, it's 36.73 now, but it went to 37.12 this morning. You see the value of what we're doing here? I mean, I'm amazed. I'd like to have this about 15 years ago, but we've got the technology now. We can do it and give it to you as something to keep you on track with what's happening with the different tickers that we're interested in, okay? But this is where I go to look every day at the close for my next trade idea. It starts from here. Then I take it into the reference bars and all that. But this is a pretty good little setup when you look there. It basically confirms what I've been telling you, is I think the market's going to go higher, because if it was going lower, all these tickers would be red. That's one red on that whole page, right, Jonathan? Another red there. What red is that? I can't see it.
I see AMD right now is a little weak.
Berkshire's red again.
Berkshire's a little weak.
Okay.
A Berkshire, by the way, would be a great case study if you just take one symbol out of this and go look at the recent months. Berkshire, after Warren Buffett stepped down, Berkshire had a little struggle. It was below the month open, below the 3-day high for several months. And then last month it perked up and got above the month open, above the 3-day high, and had a good month. Now we start a new month and look what it's doing. So, you know, take one of these stocks and do the work yourself. Go back, do a case study on it. Let's keep going down here. What else we have? This NVW, the premium dividend paying NVIDIA is a little
Yeah, that's this week. It's been 2 days. Got to watch it. I'll actually own that. I got to watch that.
Ray says the key to finding a good trade is knowing where to look. And that's what we're trying to do here for everybody. Give you a little extra so you can take this spreadsheet, start to track the markets, track what they're doing, you know, form your opinions and take your trades. And in the meantime, Tom's going to be trading too, as you saw. I think we added it up. The average, it was 180 trades across May through August, right? Which is 45 trades a month at 90% accuracy.
That's a lot of trades.
And Tom, you've always issued a lot of trades. That's your style. You're never one not to find trades. That's for sure.
That's because of the strategies. I've been doing it for so long. Some strategy rolls in front of me. I said, let's make some money. I'm here to make money. I hope you are too, because that's what I'm looking for, high odds trades to make money. That's one reason I'm talking about futures tonight or today, because you got to join this futures program. You got to let me teach you what we can do in futures with very little money. Keep going. All right, Chuck and Jonathan, this starts to think it, train and trade.
Now, today at the beginning, we did our T-Buzz All-Stars, which is the T-Buzz All-Stars trade. But most of the trades, or all the trades inside Train and Trade, we will be tracking with Tom's T-Buzz Talk and Trade program. All right, and you can get that program with dtitrader.com/TNT. It is a program that's all done inside Telegram. Tom can reach out and tell you what he's doing at any day, any hour of the day, which he does. He started this morning around 5:30 Eastern, from what I saw, giving his insights for the overnight trading, gave his Magic 5 tickers. For today, he gave his pivot on the S&P futures and a whole bunch of other good stuff. He does that every single day, Monday through Friday.
Look, if you're new, you got to get the white papers. We'll give those to you. John, why don't you post that in the room?
The DTI white paper booklet, you can go to dtitrader.com/WP for white paper. Let me type it in. The top 3 white papers on that page are going to be pretty critical if you're brand new. The first one is the 7 Sisters. That's our 7 futures markets that we base everything off of, all our analysis. That's where you start everything. S&P futures, NASDAQ futures, Dow futures, the DAX, which is like Germany's Dow, crude futures, gold futures, and bonds. And we also talked about silver quite a bit here lately to go along with gold. Then you got the reference bar white paper, which if you don't know what the DTI reference bars are, that's Tom's method of tracking the intraday markets that you just won't find anywhere else. Won't find anywhere else. That's to say it's critical to the method is an understatement. And then you get to the pivots white paper. Every day Tom gives a daily pivot. So the pivots white paper, understanding what a pivot is and how we use them is also going to be really, really key. So if you're brand new, there's a white paper booklet. Must reads, won't take, they're each like, 1, 2, maybe 3 pages long, easy reads. And Ray says, thanks, Ray. Ray says these white papers are one of the most efficient tools in the industry. Thanks, Ray, for typing that in. Let me repost that. All right, Tom, we're going to talk about a fun topic today, your strategy for how to get paid every Tuesday.
How many people would like to learn a strategy to get paid every Tuesday? Well, listen up. Now, we're in a bull market, and nobody can deny that we're in a bull market. You can say whatever you want to say, but anytime you open the year on the S&P, I'll give it to you at 59.49, and you're trading roughly 6,500, you're in a bull market. So you want to play longer term trades with a put spread. And a put spread gives you protection to the downside if you're off on your timing to control your losses, but you're not going to take the stock. You're just going to go with a favorite credit put spread strategy. At least I am. You use a short expiration of the current week on Friday. That's why Tuesday's a good day. There's 3 real popular indexes, and I should have added XPX and XSP also, got 5 total. But these really give you an opportunity if you can figure out the direction for the week. And if you can figure out how to keep your risk down. Everybody understand that's the game that we're playing. Figuring out the direction for the week and how to do that, okay? So what I'm looking for on Tuesday is how low we've been to set up a put strategy. Now, make some money over in the bond market, sorry. But what is a buy signal? Questions you asked. Are we above the month open? Are we above the week open? Has it gone higher in Monday's high? I look for this trade every day, but it's a go to trade on Tuesday when you got the information, right? Now, when I do put spreads, you're going to get a certain price for selling them, correct? So we got a little formula that we use to tell us where we're going to take profits. You might copy this. This is what I use. Any questions about this? So we got everything laid out for you, okay? And I prefer to buy it back prior to Fridays. So really, about a 2-day trade we're talking about. That'll keep you honest and keep you making money.
Any questions on all this? Any questions on all this? There's the table again. Now, what we covered, this is the last educational slide of the day. So let's review, because we got a big room here. We want to make sure we get everybody's questions answered if they have them. We went through the 3-day stocks, and we talked about the value of the first 3 days high and low, and we talked about how to identify a trending market. All right. Then we got into today's education, which was on Tuesday, if we do see a trending market, which we identified as above the month open, that's a strong stock, above the week open, a continuation of that strength, and then makes a higher high over Monday's high. The Monday high works very similar to the 3-day high for the month, just on a shorter time frame, right? Whereas the 3-day high and low, we're looking for trades for really for the whole month, right? Identifying trades that are setting up for the month. The Monday high is to identify trades for the week. So it's a natural, step in this process that if we can get a stock above Monday's high, then we should be able to sell a put spread below the week, right? More times than not. That's the education. And then we took it a step further. Tom and I spoke right before this session saying we want to give you a table you can go from, right? A lot of people always think about it this way. When you sell a spread and right from the beginning how much money you can make in total, there's going to become a point in time where you say, okay, well, this spread has gotten low enough to where what's the risk reward trade-off at this point? When I took the trade, I was willing to take the risk at 20 cents, say. I was willing to take, if it was a one wide spread, if I collected 20 cents, I had 80 cents of risk. And I was willing to take that trade. But when it gets down to 6 cents, well, the risk reward trade-off, it's skewed a little bit more to your risk side, right? Because now you only have 6 more cents to collect, but you can lose, the money you already have built in plus the original 80 cents. So that it gets skewed a little bit. There's going to be a point in time as your own trader, you have to make the decision where you have to say, okay, well, I'm going to book my profit and get that risk off the table because I've already booked the majority of my profit. I don't think it's worth taking the risk to capture the remaining, potential profit left in the trade. And that's where this table comes in to give you, one, if Tom issues a trade, where you should expect him to be wanting to take profit. But also, 2, you can use this table and incorporate it into your own trading.
All right, so Jonathan would like an example of something that might qualify to look at. So why don't we go to those symbols and lay out a table where they open the week, what the high and low with Monday was, or we could just do that and just go through it and just show.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to
and let me just say this. Keep in mind, we opened the week on the S&P at 64.78, and we're trading 65.04. I say we're up. So which one of these tickers best qualifies for selling a put spread that expires Friday? Let's just look at it and see. Don't be biased about it, just to look at it. Each one of these tickers.
I'm seeing more green across the board for the NASDAQ futures, QQQ. A little bit more red peppered in for the S&P related indexes.
So you say to yourself, if you're going to choose the QQQ, where did the QQQ open this week?
The week open, I'm just going to open the chart. It's 578.37 was the week open. It's currently below that. So
Yeah, so you throw that
Yeah.
out. Okay. Where did the SPY open the week?
the SPY opened the week at 648.62. We're basically right there. Basically right there.
SPY is an even play. Okay.
Let's type in some stocks here.
But stay with this if you don't mind, because I want to show you all these that he looked at are in the zone. So they're close. Like if the SPY has a good afternoon, maybe on RB2, you could put this trade on RB2 or TQQ or whatever you put on at that time. But then you could look at a stock also. I'd rather stay with the indexes on this strategy because they're easy to get into, easy to get out of. Okay.
Yep.
So that's my thinking.
And Bruce was asking about this feature. If you right click on it, you can actually toggle it to the 24-hour trade tracker, which is going to give you a little bit different data. You get the week open number there. You get the day open. We got to get above that. And then we have the frame high and low over here, which is the prior to reference bars. That's the RB frame. So you can see looking across the board here on the SPY, that 649.5 level. If it gets above that, we're looking better today. For the QQQ, let's just scan across the row. 580.20. Get above that, we're looking better. SPX looks like the 6505. And the XSP 650.5. Again, we right clicked on the trade tracker, all your roadmap folks, and went to the 24-hour viewpoint.
So right now is a wait and see. The idea is if you're going to make money on Tuesday, just get in that stream once it sets up, and maybe it sets up at different RBs. For example, we're at Genesis right now, then we go to this where you got to know the RBs. The next time would be 1:30 to 2. I like to put the trade on, especially on a Tuesday, on the closing bell trade, right? So you just wait until it sets up, then you take it when it does set up. That's the beautiful thing about this, what we're doing and showing you here. I just want you to be able to make money every Tuesday. It adds up. I would go to Friday minimum. I'd sell the one, since you're selling a put, I'd go this Friday on Tuesday.
And
I
again,
don't think you could listen to 1,000 people out there. I've done it. No one is going to lay it out so straightforward as what we do here at DTI. And that's why it's some basic things that you can learn and just get it down as part of your process. Because believe me, the better you do, the better we do. Everybody understand where we're coming from? All right, John, let's talk about something that you can trade without a doubt at 10, 12, or 2 each day. And that is the futures market. I want to talk about that because we got a special in futures to get people involved. Let's make a switch over to futures. We're waiting on the stock side, okay? Let's talk futures first. Now, there's risk involved in futures. You got risk involved anytime you take risk in the market, but risk in futures is outlined in the fact you got to have a plan way before you get into the futures market where you're going to get out. That's the way I think about it. Now, last night, I educated people in futures on the utility trade. It's paying people money right now. So how many people could tune, let me ask this question. How many people could tune in on Monday night? If you couldn't tune in on Monday night, listen to a recording once a week. Recording's about 30 minutes if it was going to put money in your pocket. How many people could do that? Take that kind of education? Let me ask that question. Stacy says, I'm already doing it. Right. But the idea is not let your eyes glass over, but step by step, learn this market. Okay? And the utility trade, if you got a utility bill that you think's too high, this will pay it if you learn what I teach. Okay? Now I've got some power plays inside futures. There's 3 go-to trades every week in futures. Y'all want to know what they are? Intraday, the micro E-mini, 10, 12, and 2, using the reference bars, 10 o'clock, 12, and 2. So 3 times a day you can trade this. It's pretty simple to trade, pretty simple setup. I've got education on how to do this power play on the micro futures. So at 12 o'clock you might have it. The utility play is on the bond future options. You can do this trade starting on Sunday night all the way through Wednesday night. Do this trade. Very simple. And then a power play is when you use E-mini options. Say we had a market that was trending today. We don't. We got a market going sideways. Everybody agree the market's going sideways today? They're trying to get you to anticipate your bias and do a trade, but we're not doing that. We're waiting and being very patient. You can use my Delta 50 or Delta 10 option play, like gold paid big time for Delta 10 last night, okay? You can also use it for the E-mini futures. If it's trending this week, maybe this afternoon, we'll do a Delta 50 or Delta 10 play. Right now, I wouldn't do it, but this is what you do, is a power play 3. So I designed 3 specific trades that you can trade every day, and it would not be hard to learn. Anybody use some extra money? Okay. I've got it outlined right here in futures how to do it. And next Monday night, we will review these 3 power plays, gives everybody time to join us up to speed. And we will lay it out next week for you with the setup. It ought to be a good week to lay it out because next week they're cutting interest rates, right? Okay.
That's right. And that will be session number 37. We have 36 sessions already on the books you can review.
For this year, right?
For this year, that's right.
Yeah. Every Monday night at 7, I do this. Every Monday night at 7. We did it last night. People go, man, Tom, I never thought about it. I could pay my utility bill using this strategy. We've only been doing it for 25 years. Simple trade. Simple setup. That's why I like using the Tasty Trade platform. Okay? So what I decided to do, I want to bring some new people in there. And we got a whole list of classes. Jonathan, you just pick the top 10 or you got the whole list?
Yeah, I got about the top 20, I think, here. Let's see.
It gives it a flavor. In other words, trading that first hour of the morning comes in handy for trading SPX, doesn't it? Yep, with futures. I think people in my SPX program see the power of how futures saves you money. How about gold? Boy, we've been hot on gold and gold options. I've got a strategy there where you don't put up any money. Anybody like to learn a strategy like that? Put up a little bit to start with and you take it out. But it's called the free ride gold trade. My daily pivot that I use every day. How accurate is that? Wouldn't you like to be able to compute it yourself? I teach you in futures how to do it. E-mini options, gold options, selling puts or calls on gold futures, using spread to trade futures options. Just keep crude oil. This is a trade call. I made an annual call at the first year. I said, crude's going down this year. My target's 45. You know how much crude is down this year from 77? Do the math on that one. That's worth attending the class right there to find out what I'm going to do the second half or the last quarter. And silver options. I like to trade silver options. Again, this is what we do. The Tasty Trade bracket order we use a lot. Wish we had a picture of that, Jonathan. You could show it to him, but that's okay. Now that ZB review and the 1% strategy, we're going to start having an easing in interest rates. I have a strategy that make big money with bonds, interest rates cutting. That alone is worth the price of admission. Watch that one. That gives you some flavor of what we do.
Now, Tom, you've done sessions on currency futures as well.
Yep.
Trying to think of what else you've done. I mean, that's 20 of the 37. Again, there's as of Monday night coming up, there will be 30.
Well, we're starting to get a little bit more progressive. And I said, look, let's frame the week with 3 power plays. How many people in my futures like this idea I came up with where you can really maximize what you've learned? I thought, you know, might as well get paid every week, you know? So this Monday night will be big class for everybody at 7. Keep going. And we'll post insights throughout the week. Now, folks, you can't say no to this. This is a $1,500 annual program, and you get to come in right now for $399 to the end of this year. Go to dtitrader.com/futures and join me. Now, did I make my argument that you ought to be part of it? I think I did. Once you get there, check your email and take a link to the Futures First Telegram channel. What do you think, John? This is pretty good stuff, isn't it? Special offer, $399 through the end of 2025. We should have limited it, but I decided not to limit. Anybody who wants to join can join right now. I know what people in the program are thinking. Can they extend their current program? Yes. If you want to buy this, Adam will extend your current expiration date by, we'll just make it 4 months. Okay. If you want to get this. Well, thanks for saying that, Neil. Any questions? Who's going to be there? Who's going to be part of it? You know, you can sit on the sidelines and watch your account diminish because you don't know what you're doing, or you can educate yourself the way I do it to teach you about this stuff. And you know what? You got to be smart. Cindy says, I'm in. Way to go, Cindy.
Yep,
way
thanks,
to go.
Cindy.
Lead the way.
Make sure you join that Telegram channel too, Cindy. If you don't see it, if you don't get an email, give it a little bit of time. But
yeah, if you want a referral to Tasty Trade, send an email to Roe at DTI Trader. I like their platform, especially if you're new to futures. Who's joining other than Cindy? You know, if you just learn how to get the pivot number, you got your money's worth on this. Bill, did you sign up for futures? Dr. Jeanette, did you open a Tasty Trade account? 2,000 is all you need to put in there. 2,000 is all you need. Well, get signed up, Bill. Not yet. They don't do overnight SPX yet. The only one I found to do it is Interactive Brokers so far. John, will you send Dr. Jeanette a link?
Yeah, sure will.
Well, folks, we're waiting for this market to decide it wants to be a bull again. Apple's still stuck at 236.10. You got to ask yourself a serious question. Do you really want to be in this game a long time? This is my opinion. If you want to be in the investing game for a long period of time, you better learn futures, options, and stocks. If not, you got only the partial book on it. And that comes from experience. I've been doing it for what, greater part of 40 some years, Jonathan? Long time, hadn't I?
Sure have. Yeah, sure have.
Monica, I wouldn't worry about it.